If a deal can be done, the world is asking, will Russia actually stop? After years of brutal warfare, diplomatic overtures between Moscow and Kiev have finally gained traction. But beneath the surface of ceasefire talks lies a deeper question, one rooted in geography, history, and ambition. To understand Russia's motives, we need to look back. The Soviet Union, at its peak, gave Russia its safest morning in modern history. Natural barriers, the Baltic Sea in the north, the Carpathians and Caucasus in the south, and the Central Asian deserts, formed a protective shell around the Russian heartland. A long-standing Russian ambition achieved. When the USSR collapsed, that shell shattered. Russia's borders became long, flat, and exposed. Russia's geographic and military paranoia. It's not just about Ukraine. It's about plugging the gaps left by the collapse of the USSR. If Russia secures Ukraine, the next logical step is pushing west, to the Baltics, to Moldova, even to Poland. Not because Putin wants empire for empire's sake, but because the Kremlin sees geography as destiny. Flatland invites invasion, history tells them. Mountains and seas repel it. But here's the catch. Does Russia have the means, money, and men to do it? The war in Ukraine has cost Russia dearly, and it exposed systemic, tactical, logistical, and wider military issues. An army built to please Putin is not necessarily an army fit for the 21st century. Estimates suggest over 1 million casualties, thousands of tanks lost, and sanctions that have gutted its access to Western tech. Its economy is now a war economy, resilient, yes, but brittle. Older Soviet-era tanks are being pulled from storage. Drone warfare has filled some gaps, but it's not enough to project power into NATO territory. And that brings us to the red line. Would Russia really attack a NATO country? NATO's Article 5 means any attack on one is an attack on all. But Russia may not need tanks to test the alliance. Hybrid warfare, cyber attacks, disinformation, border provocations could be used to probe NATO's resolve without triggering a full-scale war. The real question isn't whether Russia can win a war against NATO. It's whether NATO would respond decisively to a limited incursion. So what does this mean for you? If a peace deal holds, expect a short-term relief rally in the markets. Energy prices could drop, oil by $5 to $10 per barrel perhaps, European gas below 25 euros per megawatt hour. That's good news for inflation, especially in Europe. But don't expect a return to pre-war norms. Defense spending is rising across the continent. Lithuania, Poland, and Finland are fortifying borders. NATO is rearming. The defense sector may see a pullback in speculative stocks, but long-term contracts and industrial ramp-ups will continue. Ukraine's reconstruction could be a multi-decade investment story. Infrastructure, logistics, and energy firms in Eastern Europe stand to benefit. A fragile peace is still a risk premium. In short, the peace deal is a pause, not a pivot. Geography still haunts the Kremlin, and unless natural barriers are restored, the question isn't if Russia will push again, it's when. So we ask, will Russia actually stop? History says no, strategy says maybe. Markets say, not yet. At Orbital Strategy, we decode the forces shaping tomorrow, so you can act with altitude today.